Well, you know, we were talking about tuning keys and tuning stability.
Yeah.
And it's very important to note that the tuning key is not the be-all, end-all of tuning stability. There are several other issues. It has to do with designs. You know, like the Gibson Les Paul split string design, you know, where they have 3 and 3 on the headstock.
Okay, so you're talking about the headstock and where the
and how how the string goes over the nut,
splits to the side, goes to the nut. Now I hear that on my guitars every once in a while, especially. Well, so you're the Bruce Bennett special that I have. I don't know if it's what the model number was. Doesn't matter. It's a great guitar.
It was a J.R.1.
Okay, J.R.1. There you go. I love it.
Too many dots.
That's a split. And every
is.
once in a while, when I'm tuning it, I can hear the nut go ding.
Yeah.
Or the string. I guess that's a string going. Ding.
It is. It is a string. Usually, what that indicates is that there's a little bit of friction, a little binding in the nut.
Right.
Okay. When you do that,
I hate it when I have binding in the nut.
No, it's really bad.
It is bad.
I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there.
This is not appropriate for kids anymore, so you can comment.
But anyway, if you have that sound show up,
yeah,
that lets you know that the nut in the string is binding in the nut, and you can do one of two things, and probably, in my opinion, you should do both. If you have a set of gauge nut files, it's a good idea to go in there and just not aggressively file, but just clean the slot, make sure that there's no dirt or junk down in the slot, and that the string has a little bit of side-to-side play, not much, and then Big Ben's Nut Sauce is a great product because it's a Teflon impregnated grease. A tiny little dot
There's
of that in
so
there.
much in that in those comments right there that could just go
That's
off of right
why
there,
I
dude.
said
You
I
are
wasn't
just
gonna
you're
go
really,
there.
You're really trying to you're throwing softballs right down the middle of the plate.
I wasn't trying to, I promise.
Big Ben's Nut Sauce is impregnated with Teflon.
Yeah.
is the comments for today.
But it works.
So, I mean, is that an issue? Do I need to worry about that?
Well,
or is it just an annoying type?
If you hear that, then you know that you're not getting the best tuning stability.
I figure once I hear that think it's released and I'm good.
No, because it can go back the other way. When you say you bend the string,
bend the string, then I'm staying out, and I could be a quarter off, I could be a half
semitone off, or whatever. Yeah, that is an issue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm going to have to do that.
Same thing can occur on the bridge saddles.
Interesting. So that's the friction stuff that you have to look at.
Anytime you have a friction point on the guitar string itself, then it could be potentially a binding issue or cause tuning instability.
Wow.
So,
instability. But when you talk about used guitars, now I deal with you, and I don't deal with used guitars. I don't buy them from anybody else or anything like that. If I buy something from you, it's something you've redone. Right.
Right. Well, and that's really the smart way to do it.
But you actually improved it, right? So I mean, is there a market out there for other than like Reverb to go out there and find like just hey, this is a used guitar. It's a Tele or it's a Gibson or it's a Squier or whatever it happens to be. It's a PSR, whatever, or PRS, whatever it happens to be. But it hasn't been modified up. Is there a big market like that where you just get a used car type of thing, or do most used guitars get?
I believe there is. Now you're gonna have this is one of those debatable facts.
Yeah.
You're gonna have X amount of people who are gonna say, no. When you upgrade a guitar, it loses value. Okay, those are what I think
when you trade it in.
Purists.
When you change it.
When you just change it, yeah. Let's say you get yourself a Les Paul.
Yeah.
Brand new Les Paul.
Sure.
You put the pickups in. You don't like the pickups in it. You put new pickups in it.
Yeah.
Okay. Some people will tell you that you just downgraded that guitar. Now, other people will say, oh, no, I'd rather have the Seymour Duncans, and they will pay a little bit extra more. Not much, but they'll pay a little extra for that.
Because they don't have to do the upgrade themselves.
Because they don't have to do the upgrade themselves, provided it's got what they want in it.
That's what I was going to say. It depends on the buyer.
That's why this whole thing gets really hard to pin down.
Yeah.
Now,
did you see Les Paul #1 sold for $930,000 yesterday?
Oh, man, that's crazy, isn't it?
$930K.
Yeah, still short of $1 million though.
I know. I figured it would go. I figured it would go at $1 million. I figured it would go
Scary,
over $1 million. I'm not smart enough to know the exact number, but 930 was like wow. But also,
makes me wonder what my dad was thinking when he says I'm not paying $800 for no hunk of wood.
That's it, and that's what the purists or the people who would argue with the upgrade diminishing the value of a guitar.
Right, but then
if you're going to hold on to it for 60
players.
years and you've gotten serial #1, that's a different story.
But
you don't know whether you got.
And of course, there's celebrity obviously provenance involved in that too.
Sure. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right now, there's a
Yeah.
there's a choral Vincent Bell sitar made in the '60s that is owned by a fella, and I've forgotten who it was, but he obviously played with some people that with John Cougar Mellencamp. So it's on Reverb right now.
Yeah.
And he's asking a pretty high number for it. Generally speaking, they don't bring that, but because it's celebrity owned and celebrity used,
And you can prove the prominence on it. Yeah.
right? And obviously, it'll. I mean, there are people
Harrison
entertaining
didn't
it.
pluck that thing, did he?
It doesn't seem that way.
Okay.
Obviously, the guitar industry is a little more cyclic, I think, because you have people who, for whatever reason, and I'm only recounting experience from what I've seen, whereas we used to, in the stores, we'd buy up used Tellies or SGs or something like that. It's a product that is well known, well liked,
Sure.
but it seems to have a cycle. And we used to die laughing whenever an SG would come in. We would, over a course of 3 to 5 years, we might amass like 8 or 9 SGs just sitting on the wall. And then all of a sudden, all of them would sell in like a week or two. And we always laughed and said, oh, AC/DC must have come through.
I was just going to say, somebody had a concert where people went, I want one of those.
Yeah,
I forgot how awesome those
We've never
are.
been able to pinpoint it to any one event that suddenly made all the SGs disappear.
My buddy Chad Prevost, he runs an SG. Remember he brought it in there
Yeah.
and said, hey, it's broken? You said, no, it's designed that way. With the push-pull, you change the different things.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, this thing's broken. No, actually, this is the way.
Yeah.
And once you taught him how to do that, then he was killer on it.
Yeah.
But before, they was like so frustrated.
Well, there's a fair amount of pilot error involved in
Yeah,
this.
that was a big lot. That was a lot of pilot error. And I have to admit, I had no clue what was going on. I said, yeah, it seems to be broken. Bruce, what the hell's wrong with this damn thing? This seems like the easiest way because
One of
the we just messed
one
up
of the
on that.
problems that I have found that is
It's a beautiful
inescapable is that mass manufactured guitars, they make them at an astonishing rate. Okay?
Yes, they do.
And there is a phenomenon that occurs a lot, even with CNC machines. A lot of people think that CNC machines are flawless. They are not.
All right.
Okay, they're subject to the same fallibility that any machine is subject to. Number one, the thing runs on electricity, and if the power glitches or changes, then it will pick up steps or lose steps according to how hard that power spike or brownout hits that computer. Okay, some machines are better than others because they have regulated power supplies built into them, like machining or machining centers, Haas, Fadal, Mazak, some of those.
You have smoothers.
Yeah, they have a very sophisticated power supply system to keep that from happening. Some of the lesser expensive units, okay, don't have that.
Right.
So these things will pick up steps, and when they pick up steps or lose steps in their little stepper motor systems, they're actually gaining and losing thousandths of an inch, sometimes as much as a quarter of an inch in some cases, which is bad.
That's huge.
That's ginormous in a guitar. That's a problem. And when that happens, you can't help it. You can't do anything about it. The guitar's built wrong, and it will never be rebuilt correctly without somebody literally tearing it down, tearing the whole thing down and rebuilding it. So the most important thing that you can do on any guitar build is going to be the frets have to be in an exact location, precise as you can get them.
Yeah.
The more precise, the
and
better.
the height.
Well,
Now, when you buy,
now you're talking about fret wire height, and there's an inconsistency involved in that because this is die-drawn wire.
well, that's what I'm saying. So when you're putting in, you've got several fretboards back there that you're putting together. I mean, yeah, I see it every day. You've got tons of them back there. You're working on.
Right.
Those wires, there's different qualities
sizes,
in those
different
wires
gauges,
too, and different qualities,
hardnesses,
right?
yeah.
Different hardnesses, and that there's a whole nother thing we'll have to get into. But that's something that's just not there. You don't just cut those in,
Well-
put it in there, and trust that the height from the blade that goes in
To the top of the
to the
fret.
top of the thing is not
No.
necessarily
Well, that's
consistent.
why you have to have all your frets dressed,
Yeah.
level, crown, and polished, which is what I call it, an LCP. But you have to have them dressed when you do a new fret job or anything on your neck.
Yeah.
Maximum performance is going to require some maintenance. I mean, you wouldn't buy a brand spanking new Camaro or a Corvette and immediately go take it racing. It's going to need a little something extra before you take it racing, right?
Oh, sure, yeah, and you're going to want to break in those
and you
piston
know
rings and everything else.
And right after you've done 5 runs, you're going to want to tear it down.
You're going to want to
change
tear it
the
down
oil,
and
and
change
you know
the oil and
there's work to do. There's a sequence to setting up a guitar.
Yeah.
It's very important. The sequence is fresh strings, set your height, set your and at pitch. Everything has to be done at pitch. So when you put your fresh strings on, get it to pitch immediately. Mm-hmm. Set the string height, set the truss rod, and you're retuning each movement you make. You retune and make sure it's at pitch.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And the last thing you want to do is set the intonation. Okay. And the reason why is if you get any of that out of sequence and the height is wrong or the bow in the neck is wrong, it will change that distance that you're pushing the string down.
Your action.
And it will change your intonation.
So is that something that you do as a maintenance type of thing after a certain amount of time, or the first setup?
Yeah,
how often do you do it?
I can. Well, it depends on how often you use your guitar.
I play my guitar every day.
Pro is going to probably do it, a minimum of once a month. Many times they'll do it more than that.
Really?
It just depends on how hard they play their guitars and what level of proness they're playing at. If they're a weekend warrior who's doing gigs on the weekend, once a month will probably get the job done. Maybe twice if they're really hoofing it. A pro who's doing arena levels, every night, every other night, no, his intonation's going to be set. Fresh strings every day.
Oh yeah, fresh strings every day.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
Yeah. That's why they don't bother to clip them.
The guys who are just right. Yeah,
that's why you see them twirled up at the headstock, right?
I hate that. It always makes me feel like my eye's going to get poked out when I look at the guitar.
It does, but it also some people probably do that because they know that people who know think, oh, he changes his strings every day. He must be really
that's
good.
Not a good reason to do that. But those people who are just playing